If you love movies and movie discussions, you've come to the right place. Who am I, you ask? I am the Wiz, and I'm here today to review the 1987 gay period drama Maurice, starring James Wilby, Hugh Grant, and Rupert Graves, directed by James Ivory. I want to note something real quick. I would set the name Maurice as the name of the title of the movie. Technically, that's correct, but that's the American interpretation of that name. The character's name is actually Morris when you actually hear his name in the movie, so I'm going to, from now on, say Morris. Now, period dramas dealing with gay love are kind of rare, but in the past few years, they've actually become more plentiful in a certain way. The one to note, honestly, is from a few years ago, which is Portrait of a Lady on Fire. I reviewed that last year for Pride Month, and I thought that was a very good movie. So if you haven't seen that one, check that out. Odds are you probably have if you are into LGBTQ films, and that was a big one from a few years ago. But one that I did not know about when I started looking up films last year to watch for Pride Month was this film. And what caught my eye is that it had Hugh Grant in it. And I'm like, wait a minute, Hugh Grant kissing dudes? Really? I didn't know this. That right there was kind of like, oh, maybe I should see this. And seeing the ratings on this film also made me very curious. That said, let's talk about what the plot is. Basically, the film is about Morris Hall, played by James Wilby, who meets Clive, who is played by Hugh Grant, while they're in college in 1909 in Cambridge. They fall in love, but then they quickly start to realize that they can't be in love with each other, specifically Clive, who decides that if he wants to have a career in politics or in society or to be part of society itself, he can't have this love affair with Morris. So he pushes back and decides to live his life as a normal straight man, hiding the fact that he has feelings for Morris. I think the best element of the film is the romance between Clive and Morris, even though it kind of ends as the first act ends. It's actually very well done. It's very believable with the actors, and I think both actors play their roles very well. And the way that they show confusion in the movie with, I guess, Hugh Grant's character as to whether he wants to, he doesn't want to, how conflicted he is. I think his performance is the best in the movie, but it's kind of sad that this plot line doesn't drag out a little bit longer because I think this is the best part of the film. The film is actually much more about living with the immorality laws that are in England at the time than a real love story, because the entire second to third act, the film is more about these men, specifically Morris, trying to hide his homosexuality. This was also an element that you could see in films like The Imitation Game. At the time, if you were caught having a homosexual tryst or trying to kiss a man or anything along those lines, you can get arrested. You can lose your livelihood, you can lose your reputation, and then you are pretty much done. And the movie shows this in a specific character in the movie as well. That's really what I think the film is about. It's not really a love story for the most part. It's about gay men trying to live their lives as best as they could with this law in place. And I think it's effective, but it's not entirely effective as the romance is in this movie. What happens in the film as well is that Morris finds another man that he starts to fall for. But in between that time, which is between Clive and Alec, who is the other guy, it is pretty slow, and it's unfortunately slow. And that's because the in between that is all about the immorality law and basically Morris trying to live his life, trying to hide this fact from other people. I gotta be honest, if you do not like costume dramas, this is a movie you should probably not watch, because a lot of this film relies on those types of elements to keep it interesting. So a lot of costume dramas like to draw out certain aspects of the film, things that people did at the time, customs, stuff like that. So if you're not into that stuff at any point, I would say you probably want to skip it, because the second act of the film is a lot about that. It's a lot about the world that they live in, the society that they are part of, and their class dynamics and everything. So if you are not into costume dramas, I don't think you're going to get much out of this. For what it is as a costume drama, it is okay. It is a decent movie. I thought the best elements were the romance elements between Morris and Clive, but as the film moved forward, it kind of went more into the immorality laws, which are okay. I'll put it this way. At no point did I really feel Morris get in trouble. I didn't think this was this kind of film. It didn't really show the palpability of what would happen if he got caught. You would definitely see the paranoia in Morris throughout the entire film, but at no point was I led to believe that he could get caught. That really hurts the tension of him trying to find that romance. So let's get into the footnotes for Morris. My only footnote is basically both Wilby and Grant look goofy with mustaches, especially Grant. Like, Grant looks really young and baby-faced. And that's kind of a look he's always had. I think he still has it now. Seeing him with facial hair is like, that's odd. Not a big deal. Like, I get it was the style of the time, so they kind of went with that with Hugh Grant in this. But when either character has a mustache, it's like, that's weird looking. Why are you doing that? But oh well. A minor thing that I didn't want to really add into the review, but I thought that was like, okay, that's weird. So overall, I'm going to recommend Maurice. But the thing is, I think the best parts of the film are in the first act. The rest, it's fine. And then the romance at the end of the film, I really didn't buy as much. There is some male nudity. There is some things that are sexual in nature. But if you've been watching LGBTQ films or sex films lately, like the 2010s, 2020s, this is nothing. Like, this is like, oh, here's a penis and a butt. Oh, okay, fine. Yeah. Oh, whoopee-doo. Unless you really do not want to see a naked man, I don't see that this could be offensive to anybody. Overall, I recommend it. I don't think it's great. I'm actually a little bit disappointed by it, but I thought for what it was fine. So overall, I recommend Maurice. It is streaming on Tubi, I believe, so check that out if you are interested for Pride Month. Now, if you want my full review on this movie, you can go to my website at IamTheWiz.com. You'll have my full written review right on the site, along with a link to the video that has this review that you've just listened to. Thank you for listening to this review. If you want to know what we're reviewing in the next couple of days, you can look on the screen right now to see what's coming up next. If you liked what you heard, go ahead and leave a like on this video. If you want to discuss your opinion on the film or the review itself, please leave a comment. And if you want to hear more, subscribe to the channel. Thank you again for listening. I will talk to you next time.